And I think I'll have sound now. Thank you, Azitsu. Oh, it was on? Really? Well, that was not actually what I intended. That was so weird. Okay, well, hi. It is 10 o'clock where I live. This is Nick McPhee, Unhindered by Talent. Be here for 2 hours doing evolutionary computation in Rust. Actually, mostly doing readmes still. And hopefully adding an animation to the readme. We actually yesterday got some stuff worked out, made, I think, a nice animated GIF that we can now add to the documentation, which will be kind of nifty. But first, want to finish the documentation changes for the I wanted to be over here. So we have this further align UMAD branch, and that's basically done, except I would like to add a couple of more examples. We've got an example showing how to use this constructor for UMAD. It would make sense to have examples show for the other constructors, of which there's 1, 2, 3. So I would like to actually add examples for those constructors. That shouldn't take too long, hopefully, and then that will, I think, get that branch to a place where we can merge it in, and then we can look at adding the animation to the README for EC Linear and see what that looks like. And that would hopefully give us some guidance on where to go with creating additional animations and whether that's a good idea, which ones we want, and that kind of stuff. So, okay. So this is, I think, going to be reasonably boilerplate. We have this one example here. I think I want to basically copy that example. Boom, boom. And I don't have... So I could actually do this in testing. That's the problem. The tests are mostly being ignored because I'm sorry for all the scrolling, figuring out what I'm doing. So like, okay, here's the UMAD test, and this is, as it says here, we're ignoring this because it's stochastic. So we make a parent genome out of some characters. We create a child genome by mutating that parent genome. And the problem then is, what do you assert? Other than it didn't blow up, it's difficult to know what you can get away with here reliably, because the mutation operator is inherently random. And so what you get for the child is inherently random, and that makes things difficult. We could presumably, let's look at our constructors. For new, I don't know that there's much we could do there. New with balanced deletion, I guess we could confirm that the deletion rate has the right value. That's maybe not a bad thing to test. We new with empty addition rate, we can confirm that the empty addition rate is correct. That it's a sum variant, has the right value. It's not testing very much that's interesting, but we could test it. Excuse me. And similarly here, we could confirm that we get a none there. Now we could with this one, we could actually run it with an empty parent and confirm that we still have an empty parent. That's guaranteed to be true if there's no empty addition rate. If there is a non-zero empty addition rate, we don't really know what to expect. Oh, well, I guess if this was 1, then we should always get something. And if it's 0, we should never get something. So I guess we could test those cases. So, I mean, it gives us something to test, and then we can use those examples. If we write them as tests first, then that gives us example code that's easier to like move up into the documentation. So I'm gonna go with that because I find it much easier to write tests than to write examples in RustDoc because you just don't get a lot of help. Okay, so what do we have here? Okay, so this tests that the addition rate, if it's too high or too low, we blow up. Oh, and we do test that we get the balanced rate correct. Really? I didn't remember writing that. Maybe Eustace wrote that? I don't know. But I'm happy. It's a good thing. So that constructs this and asserts that we have the correct deletion rate. That the difference between the actual deletion rate and so this is the expected deletion rate. This is what we actually got. We're saying that this is less than epsilon. Okay. Hello, Eustace. How you doing? No worries. Adding some tests and some examples to the UMAD stuff so we can try to close that branch off. Boy, I totally don't know what that's like. Spend so much of my life writing emails. Actually, one of the things I hope in phase retirement is I will write a lot less email. Or maybe I'll feel less guilty about the emails I ignore. I'm not sure which of those two things is true. Okay, so actually, can we make an example out of this? Maybe. So where's with balanced? There's with balanced. Example. Boom. So I need to fence it. That's my issue. Up. Oh, that didn't do what I wanted. Let's actually here fence. And then paste. There we go. Oops. That, yes. Boom. Dot. Hey, look at that. And then bring you in, and then bring everybody in. Oops, not you. Well, we'll fix you in a second. Because I think I can just do that. Oh, no. Fine. So we'll do that. Oh, wrong button. What have I done? I've gone to a totally different. What did I do? That was so weird. Okay. I totally understand. It's important to get that sort of stuff sorted out. Okay, so we let UMAD new with balanced deletion. We give it an addition rate. Why are we giving it a unit there? Oh, that's the gene generator because we don't care about that. I gotcha. And then we assert that the addition rate. Oh, yeah. So we need to actually set addition rate to something. Let addition rate be, I don't know. Let's say yeah, we don't really care since the trait bound is only on the methods where we care since we designed it properly. Woo! Okay, so if we let the addition rate and then the expected deletion rate will be the addition rate divided by 1.0 plus the addition rate. We construct a UMAD. I'm going to change this to expected deletion rate. And we confirm that those are close to each other. Oh, is epsilon like built in? Oh, really? Really? Did I know this? What is? Huh. This is the difference between 1.0 and the next larger representable number. I'll be darned. That is nifty. That's much better than me just making epsilons up all the time. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I did not know that was a thing. Or I knew it and forgot it. One of the two. Since I forget stuff. So this needs to be expected deletion rate. Yeah. Using that as a comparison is only half proper. In what sense? The epsilon changes based on how big the number is. I don't know that that's not what the impression I got. Oops. This seems to be fixed. I mean, it would vary if the type underneath changed. So epsilon for F32 would be different than F64. I think I'm lost. Yes, it is a very conservative choice. I mean, you would have to be very, very close. I mean, so that is the one potential issue, is that this has to be very, very close for this to work. But it appears to, right? I mean, if we run these tests, well, we actually have built some things. They do pass. So I'm okay with the conservative choice as long as it's not getting us in trouble. Gotcha. Yes. So if we were doing very big floats, that might not be a good choice. But since our floats are between 0 and 1, in this instance, that should be okay. I think we should be fine there. Okay. So set this up. Oh, and I guess I'm going to need to import a bunch of stuff. Let me grab these imports because that will help. So speed things up. Boom. Boop. So I'm not going to need uniform distribution of, which means I'm not going to need the curly braces. Oh, come on. And I'm not going to need vector, but I am going to need UMAD, which again means I don't need the curly braces. Okay. And so in theory, oh, I was going to ask you, since you're here, your nifty thing where Bacon runs the RustDocs in the background would be potentially useful here. Um, the change looked pretty straightforward when I looked at it in the Git history. Um, well, I think it's isn't it parked on top of something else, or is that not going to be an issue? So I need to go find. Do I have U open? I thought I do. Oh yeah, right here. There we go. Oh no, but the PR would be back onto this. Oh yeah, right there. Okay. So let's actually, because if we merge this in, then I could actually rebase on top of. Somehow I had the impression that this was tied up with some other things, but it doesn't appear to be. Then I could actually rebase on top of this, and that would be nice because then we could run your Bacon doc thing, and that would be kind of nifty. Before you created some UMAD tests, copy URL, which you hadn't pushed yet. So these are in. I mean, if you're talking about these guys, these are here. They're in my code. So they're yeah. I mean, they're in here. That's how this stuff ended up here. This is, and I was really a little confused about it. It was like, where did that come from? But that was from you. So it's all good. Because I was like, I don't think I wrote this. And so I was thinking it was probably you. And it was. Haha. So let's actually merge in. Oops, I want to be here. Let's actually merge this branch in. Let me actually look at it because the change is pretty minimal. So you've added this doc watch job. So cargo doc, workspace, no depths. And this opens it. This one does not. Oh, that could be that I got turned around. There seemed to be a dependency, and I think, yes, maybe I got turned around about which way the dependency went. So on success, interesting. So if doc works, then we'll call doc watch. And private as private items. And you've got next test set up. Now I don't have next tests on my box. Is that going to create an issue here? Example, okay. And these jobs, these are just things that Bacon knows how to do. So I can say Bacon doc and it will do this stuff. And I could say Bacon doc watch and it would do this stuff. And so, yeah, as long as I don't run Bacon next test, then the fact that I don't have next test won't be an issue. Nice. So Clippy, doc, next test, Alt-D, private doc. Cool. The on success means it will automatically switch to doc watch. Oh, okay, good, because I totally didn't understand that or misunderstood that. So if I do this and that succeeds, it would then switch to doing this in the future. Since Bacon just reruns the jobs, it wouldn't keep rerunning this job and reopening a new browser window every time I make a change, because that would be pretty insane. Here it'll do this the first time, and it'll do this all subsequent times. Oh, that's very nice. And it will only switch if this succeeds. Is that going to mean if it fails, I end up potentially with multiple? It will always switch. Okay. Okay, well, I think that seems lovely. Oh, that's what these do. So these mean that it will succeed even when it fails, and that will then switch over to here. Aha. Gotcha. And these got added in a second commit. So I presume you sort of didn't have them there initially, and then you went, oh, those would be important. So, okay. Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. Well, then I think this is lovely. Add my review. Review changes. This is very nice. Thanks. Approve. Boom. And then I will merge. Confirm merge. Do. And then when this gets merged in, I will rebase my branch on top of this, and then we can run Bacon Doc and see stuff happen, and that'll be cool. So in the meantime, I was gonna run all the tests. Just now that there are extra tests, run everybody, and everybody passes. Why are you grumpy? Oh, this is an expected panic. Yeah, so those are expected panics, and so everything's good. You want to write a cargo package which integrates with your LSP and add some code to the output produced by RustDoc, which will automatically navigate to the docs page. We're currently in the editor. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, that would be nice, because it just opens you up at the top, and you have to then navigate to where you're actually doing work. And if it could use the information from what file you're editing to know where to go, that would be pretty nice. Okay. Why did that not merge? Remove this due to a failed status check. Doc test failed. Struct equal is never constructed. So I've got dead code issues in common. Yeah, because common never got... Well, obviously that's a change, because that's not been an issue in the past. So common CMP equal I probably don't have the most recent version of something. Rust up check. Well, I'm up to date on stable. but I'm not up to date on nightly. I don't know if I'm up to date on beta because I don't actually explicitly 107. Yeah, like I'm not saying my universe isn't saying any issues with that. And so where is this used? Open, go to implement. Is that what? No. That was not what I wanted. Oh, maybe this one. So this this is just in the common, so that's not helpful. Oh, you merged it? Did you just force merge it? I presume. You brute. Okay. So I want to stash what I've done, and I want to. No, it clearly does not have anything to do with this PR. That I will agree with. And I want to pull. Oh, yeah, pull. Duh. Oh, I want to pull main. Yeah. Pull main. And then I rebase onto mine. I had it in my head I was going to rebase onto your branch, but once we've merged it into main, I just rebase onto main. Blah. Where did my thing go? I got too many things. Okay. And rebase further onto main. Boink. Okay. And then push. And we've got the push with all the stuff. Boom. And then pop my stash. And now I should be back where I was. Awesome. Coolio. Oh, that actually would be smart. I should probably do that. And then we ought to bacon doc. You can run this, and then UMAD and UMAD, and we have that example. And then new balance with deletion, we have an example, and that looks correct. Zippity doodah. Now, when it runs the RustDoc, it doesn't actually run tests that are in the documentation. Like I have to do that separately, right? And do we have a job for that? No, I don't have to do it separately. Okay, so I would need a second bacon. Bacon. And is there like a targets or something? Jobs? Features. Maybe? No. That's not what I wanted. So I can't ask Bacon to show me a list of jobs. Oh, just run Bacon and press the help key. Duh. Okay. So we'll test by default doesn't run all the doesn't run all the doc tests though. That's a separate command, right? So I think if I want to run the doc test, that's a separate business. Whoa. Oh, I won't have access in the example because and we don't have a way of getting that out. So actually I was wrong. Test did run the doc test, I think. 156. Close you because we're not going to care. Yeah, 156 is going to be up here. So it did run this, or at least it tried to compile it. And that didn't work. So if we want to test these things, we need to have accessors that allow us to get these values out. Impl, UMAD. I'm going to need gene generator, UMAD, gene. Oh, that's an interesting question. Can it generate them? Generate delegate traits. Generate getter setter. And I do have I do. Do I have the nipple block? Oh, right there. Duh. Yes, I totally do. Because that's where all the constructors are. Okay, but it did look like it was willing to generate a getter setter. What happens if I do that? Generate a getter. Oh, look at that. Nifty, and it put it in the right place and everything. So if I just do that for all of these, generate getter and generate getter. Now I've got a question about that one, but let me finish just grinding through this. Yeah, I was wondering if that's going to make sense. Let's leave it out for now and see where that takes us. So on the... yeah, exactly. On this one... No, this probably is the only way to do this. I was wondering if there should be like a has empty addition rate. No, but I think this is the right thing to do. Okay. Get the addition rate. Copy the docs from the fields. Oh, how smart of you. How smart of you. Oops, where am I? Ah! Here we are. Yeah. That's a good plan. Actually, I'm going to just grab all of this and we'll just get an extra deletion rate to remove, which won't be a challenge. Boink. Doop, 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 doop. So we have the likelihood of adding a new gene next to each gene in the original genome, the likelihood of deleting each gene in the genome, including newly added genes, and the likelihood of adding a single new gene when the initial genome is empty. And In theory, that should have added... Oh, I probably have to reload the browser, don't I? And there we are. Yay! Maybe write something like in the range. Yes. Actually, if I say the probability, then that makes that more clear. I think that's... Yeah, that's nice. Good job with the bacon thing. That's very nice. Move the this is optional to a new paragraph. Could do that. Yeah. Now why are we grumpy? Oh, this could be const. Pub const. Oops. Hello. Const fun. Yeah. I suspect things will be a little less responsive with all this bacon stuff going on in the background. I'm surprised Clippy isn't giving me a must use. Clippy's often pretty aggressive about that. Why is Clippy not saying must use here? Because calling this and ignoring the result would be completely meaningless. Clippy, why you not do the thing? That is very odd. Yeah, but it certainly has talked to me about must use a lot in the past. And this seems like exactly the kind of thing it would fuss about. Oops. But let's put it in. Just because Clippy didn't say it doesn't mean we can't do it on our own. And oops, I wanted to go here. Oh yeah, we'll get there in a second. I'm just curious, Clippy's happy. That's so weird. Oh, weird. When I went to Clippy and came back to Docs, it did pop open a new thing. That's interesting. Okay, so now we've got to fix the problem that led to the creation of the getters. Yeah, D runs the docs task and not docs watch, which makes sense. But it does mean you want to be thoughtful about jumping back and forth between jobs in a given Clippy session because you might pop up some windows. Okay, so now that we have that, we should be able to fix the thing that Clippy's grumping about. So line 156, which is here. So this should be, I assume it's just, what's it called? It's just the name, okay. So it's just parens at the end. Yeah, no, I mean, actually, I don't, if I implied that I thought that was a problem, that I was being overly strong about it. I actually don't think it's a problem. I think it was just something for me to be aware of. Because I think it would be difficult to know. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we want to fancy this up enough that it like knows whether we've already opened something or not, and then so I wouldn't sweat it. I think it's fine. And that that. Oh, I guess this is going to need to have parens too. And I think maybe that's, no, 158. Oh, yeah, okay, I changed that and it was just being slow. Okay, yay, the test pass. Awesome. And it did apparently run the cargo test. See, I thought you needed the -- doc to get it to run the doc test. Or maybe the -- doc only runs the doc test? But it does seem that this is doing what we wanted. So I have found it confusing as to, so I've tended to just always run cargo test and cargo test -- doc as two separate things, just to be sure that I'm getting everybody. But okay, so we got past that problem. Yay. Now, where were we? Oh, yeah, we were doing examples. Actually, I want to make sure I commit the addition of the getters as a thing. Add getters for UMAD parameters. Well, I probably don't need to say anything very exciting there. Boom. And now that, yeah, fine. Okay. So we were doing examples. We had this example here. Well, I was thinking actually on these guys, we could, maybe you added that actually. I didn't know. I should check here. That's the full UMAD test. Checks that the rates are too high or too low. So we could, if we wanted to, confirm that if you don't provide an addition rate, you get none. And that if you do provide an addition rate, you get some with that value. I mean, that's probably about the only other thing that would make much sense. Oh, and I was thinking, well, and that's fair, right? I mean, here we actually did have a little logic, so we're checking that logic is correct. Here we would just be testing that. I mean, we're almost testing the type system at that point, since it's really a matter of, did we really put none in, But I was also thinking we could do, for the addition rate, empty addition rate, we could run a test that confirms that if you have an empty parent and this is none, you get an empty parent. And here, if you have an empty parent and this is some with 1, you get something that isn't empty. So you could test those two things, and they would be, they should always pass. It's possible they could fail. In particular, this one could be implemented incorrectly and still pass sometimes, but eventually you think it would. So, yeah, we can do that, I think. So, yes, that actually tests some execution, whereas the other was really not. So we could say fun test no empty addition rate let UMAD equals UMAD new without empty addition rate. So we're, yeah, the parameterize was nice, and I think that something like that probably wants to be used here. I think we can use unit here still. Although, here I really don't care, because I'm not expecting this to actually come into play. Oh, interesting. New without empty addition rate does require the deletion rate. Well, again, it doesn't actually matter, because we're just going to hand this thing. Parent is going to be an empty vac. And child is going to be UMAD dot mutate. What happened? How do I mutate things? Yeah, it is mutate. Why? I wonder, That's very possibly true. So actually, I mean, that's an interesting idea. I don't think it wants to be what this pull request is about, but actually that this has gotten complicated enough that a builder wouldn't be a terrible plan. I hadn't thought about it until you just brought it up. But and if you mentioned it before and I forgot, I apologize. But it would actually make some sense, because the deletion rate is quasi-optional. If you leave it out, we'll just take the default. And the empty addition rate is definitely... oh, yeah, I do need an actual... yeah. That probably is the issue here. I can't get away, because it's going to have to be able to make a new gene. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I need a gene generator. So I basically want that thing. And now, yeah, now UMAD knows that we're doing characters. Okay. I just have a custom setter for the deletion rate, balance deletion, when the addition rate is set. Sure. So you could leave it out or call balance. Oh, I see. You're saying you actually have to be explicit to say you want balance deletion, instead of you could just say nothing and have it do balance deletion. And that way you're forcing people to be explicit about what they want. Yeah. And that probably makes sense. Like having people be explicit about what deletion they're using would be better than just having it quietly use that default. So that makes sense. Yeah. So actually a builder makes a lot of sense there. Addition rate foo, balance deletion, empty addition. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be pretty slick. I like that idea. Let child be UMAD dot mutate. There we go. Parent and we need a range. Let range be rand. Is that the right? No, that's not the right syntax anymore. Oh, it's just RNG. Oh, it ran colon. That's what I was sort of thinking about. So then how does this get away with not having that? Oh, because we use this, so it comes in. There we go. So it's imported correctly, and we can just use RNG. Yeah. And it needs to be mutable. Let mute. And I need a semicolon here. And parent can't just be a vector. Really? Oh, it needs to be put inside a capital V vector thing. Parent. So actually this really should just be vector and genes vec new. And that's a semicolon. La 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 da 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 do. I needed to have and mute RNG. We'll get there eventually. Yeah, no, I agree that the whole capital V vector thing is kind of a mess. I do not disagree with you on that. I didn't put a test marker. That's why you're grumpy up there. Okay, and now, so we can unwrap this to turn that into a vector, and then we want to assert bang child dot genes dot is empty dot not. Oh, okay child. And that right. So we don't have any need to look at the error from UMAD. And if the mutate returned an ERR, this would panic. And I need to import. Oh, it's statically verified. Because it returns infallible. Here, where? Yeah, the error is infallible. So actually, it statically knows. Oh, that's nice. It knows that can't fail, so it knows this can't fail, so this is allowed to compile. That's kind of slick. Good job. nice. So that's a nice use of Infallible, the way that, or it's a nice way for the system to leverage what it knows if we say Infallible, right? So I think that's one of the things I like about Rust is that when we use the type system to say something, the compiler almost always can do useful things with that information. We're not just talking to other human beings. So in a lot of systems, a lot of that information is really more for human consumption, and that the system doesn't do very much with it. But the Rust compiler actually does a quite good job. Well, it is. No, I agree with you. But it is surprising how often type systems don't do a very good job of leveraging the information they have, partly because I think they often have pretty incomplete information and it limits what they can do. And so you end up saying things. Sometimes, I mean, outside the type system, you have a comment that says, oh, this should be blah, blah, blah. I mean, closure code's a really good example of this because there is very little typing. You end up getting a lot of comments that say this is a vector of, or a list of frogs, and you have to kind of take my word for it that it's actually only going to contain frogs, because actually in closure you could put a goose in there and nothing's going to stop it. Having a type system that's much more, yeah, exactly. Well, although there are people that do things with types, and you could argue like the whole Hungarian notation, terrible name, I apologize to anybody with connections to Hungary in this, but the whole Hungarian notation naming conventions are really about saying things in variable names about the types of things because the type system isn't strong enough to say things about the types of things. And, you know, in Rust, you've just got this very nice type system that then uses the information that has been given, and I think that's very cool. Okay, so we make a random number generator, we make a gene generator, character X. Oops. We make a UMAD operator. We have an empty parent. Or a parent with an empty genome. Oh, this should still be empty. Duh. I got the wrong test. So since we don't add genes to empty genomes, this should still be an empty genome. Boom. And those comments will almost certainly make, you know, adding good comments like that will make things better for people that have to read that code. So, you know, yay, team. And I also think it's interesting that quite a few people, some people here, but certainly people that I've seen, you know, online elsewhere, have commented that learning Rust has changed for the better how they write code in other languages, because they think in terms of a richer type system, even if the language they're writing in doesn't support that richer type system. And so I think that's actually pretty nifty. Okay, so does this pass? Yay, it passes. And then we would do the same thing. Test, always add add to empty genome. And so that's all going to be the same. The UMAD constructor needs to be different. So UMAD new with empty addition rate. Really? So the empty addition rate needs to be 1. Yeah, 1. And what are we missing here? What's the order of things? Addition rate, empty addition rate, deletion rate. Okay. Deletion rate. I was just going to use the not here. But, hey, C-Films. Long time no see. Wonderful to see you. Yeah, because we can only ever add 1. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, and then we'll remove the not. So assert eq. Genes. Why not? Why would I not? It's not the same eq since it consumes the iterator. So it can't use the eq trait. Oh. Huh. So actually I'm gonna type that and let's see what it breaks. So vecbang x. Oops, I got a mismatch here. Oh, were you thinking of doing an array? Oh, you were going to do an array. And if I just, oh, even, yeah, even that works. Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking of doing iterators. I was just going to be like, this thing equals that thing. And it passes. Yay! And I've got a not up here, or I don't? Oh, it would have been in the test. I went too high. Yeah, there we go, right there. Gotcha. Okay. But since I didn't use iterators, life is good. And if we come back over here, we have Happy Land here, and we have Happy Land there. Actually, we're running stuff here. No, we're not. Yes, we are. Oh, we finished. Yay. Okay. So life is all good. On that. So we have those tests. So I was doing examples. So actually, I probably want to commit that test, set of tests, as a separate thing. Add tests for empty, non-empty addition rates for UMAD. Yeah, I realized the, oops, no, I wanted this. Yeah, that it was still saying it was doing something here. So, but we're good now. Oh, I want to be here. Confirms that if there is no empty addition rate, then empty genomes are still empty after mutation. it also confirms that if the empty, spelling, addition rate is 1.0, i.e. always add a genome or gene to an empty genome, then we always get a genome with one new gene. Boom. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. Okay. So we have this example. We, I think, ought to be able to hopefully steal so we have an addition rate, we have an empty addition rate. So it's 0.1, and that's going to need a deletion rate of, I don't know, 0.2. I guess we don't really care about the numbers. Boom. So we have an addition rate, an empty addition rate, a deletion rate, and well, we don't have to have the assertion. I mean, we can just sort of make the thing here. So the project's been going fine. I mean, everything takes longer than you thought it was going to, because that's the way the world works. But we're making stuff. Been doing a lot of documentation things. I actually figured out a bunch of stuff yesterday. Yeah, it does. Figured out a bunch of stuff yesterday about how to make reasonably sized animated GIFs. Can you tell me from your perspective, is it hard to switch to Rust from other programming languages? I think a very common question. I think one thing I should say is my perspective's a little skewed. Well, and everybody's life is different. So let's start with that, right? And so that no one's answer to this question is going to be perfectly applicable to everybody in the universe. So I learned Rust in my late 50s as a computer science faculty member who had programmed in many, many languages in a small way and quite a few languages in a serious way at that point. So I came to Rust late with a lot of programming experience in a variety of languages. That is not going to be everybody's experience. In fact, that's presumably going to be very few people's experience. And so I think that Rust forces you to think about things quite differently. And I think if you've got experience with other languages, one of the things you're going to have to wrestle with is how to make that transition to just thinking about certain things like the type system differently than you're used to. If you've mostly programmed in a universe that has weak or absent type systems, it might be a pretty big change. If you've used languages that have strong typing, maybe it's a little less of an issue. I think it depends a lot on what you're coming from. If you came from Python, I think it's going to be very different than if you come from Java or if you come from C. And I would totally agree with Eustace's point. If you actually learn Rust, right, and it depends on how much time you put into it. But I think if you really get your head around how certain key features in Rust work, type system, borrowing, ownership, those things can be valuable in your other programming, even if you don't use Rust as your primary tool. But I think you've got to use Rust a fair bit to get to a place where those things internalize in a way that they will naturally appear in your other programming. But I certainly do, people generally say that the learning curve on Rust is a little steep at the front end and then flattens out some. And I totally agree with that. I think the learning curve at the front can be non-trivial. There's a lot of syntax to learn. It also probably depends on how good you are at memorizing syntax. Because there is a lot of syntax in Rust. And I find it hard to memorize that sort of thing. I like me and Turbofish, as people here can attest, I get Turbofish syntax screwed up all the time, and I've been doing this for several years now. You'd think I would have that figured out, but I don't. I'm not good at that kind of thing. But there are other people who are good at it and find it less difficult. So, as Eustace said, it absolutely depends. And I think, talking to people and having taught students Rust, I think, I taught an elective using Rust last semester to a bunch of students who had little or no prior exposure to Rust, but who had programmed a fair bit in Java, JavaScript, TypeScript. Some of them were pretty good at Clojure. It varied depending on the student. Some of them may have had some other, they'd all seen a little C. And they all managed. They all made, I think, significant progress and got much better at Rust over the course of the 15 weeks. Would I say any of them were hireable as Rust programmers? Maybe not quite yet, but some of them had potential. And I think you have to put in the work also of just writing the code. You've got to wrestle with the daemon and learn to So one thing that I think is quite different, and I'm not the first person to have made this observation, is you can get in the habit of kind of ignoring a lot of what the compiler tells you when it's fussy, because so many compiler errors are just unhelpful. And in Rust, it's like, no, you should pay attention to what the compiler says, because the compilers usually tell you something useful, especially in the early days. The compiler errors are often super helpful. And so that can be a thing you have to get used to. And hello, Vagary. Wonderful to see you, as always. Okay, now, can I get away with... if I don't actually use this for anything, you're very welcome. I hope that was helpful. And I'm happy to, babble on further. Yeah, I totally agree about turning on all the Clippy lints. Clippy is a lovely and wonderful tool, and encouraging it to be as chatty as possible is actually very useful, especially when you're learning, because the Clippy warnings will do a lot to help you write idiomatic Rust as opposed to just Rust that works. And I have learned a lot of idioms by getting a Clippy warning and going, I don't know what that means, and looking it up and going, oh, that's cool. That's a thing I should know. So those are definitely helpful. And C films, I think, there's, I think I think Rust is going to change the way a lot of people think about language design, and there's absolutely bound to be a variety of people looking at trying to provide the advantages that Rust gives you, but with a less steep front end learning curve. And I think that's going to be, I think we're going to see a lot of that in the next 10 years. And I think that I think it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. And I think that Justus's comment about the inline errors is actually spot on. I mean, frequently, if I get errors here, I'll end up opening up the full sort of what you would get on the terminal to see what it's actually telling you, because VS Code compresses the output in ways that are not always helpful. Remove a comma on 196. Oh, I see. So to get an example. Yeah. And then I think if we do full compiler diagnostic, so you get more useful information on if you sort of get the full screen. So I think that I have made the mistake, and I think that I would say now, I would have probably a year ago said in some ways that Zig is a competitor for Rust. I'm not convinced that Zig is doing the same thing as Rust. I think they may come from concerns about similar issues, but I think the approaches are so different that it really isn't a competitor. Well, I mean, I guess it's maybe sort of in the same brain space, but I think they're doing things so differently that I wouldn't see them as being one or the other. I think they just do different things. Now, I don't know that much about Nim or Odin, so I'm not in a position to speak to that. But Zig, at least, I don't think I would see it as a competitor for Rust as much as an alternative way to think about the problems of C. But I mean, this is a subjective assessment, and other opinions exist and can be found, no doubt, on the internet. Yeah, and so Swift is like really very different, right? Swift is a very interesting alternative that is doing a lot of similar things, but in a substantially different way. And if Vagry's still here, I know Vagry has written a lot of code in Swift. Interesting. I'd have to look up more about Nim. And I get, what does one see as sort of the key thing that Rust provides? And I think that's often the ownership model. And so if you have a language that doesn't have that kind of ownership model, is it a competitor to Rust, or is it an alternative way of it? So I don't know, right? Okay, so does this work? And the answer is no. 16. That's because this is, yes. Deletion rate. So this is not expected. Deletion rate. Oh, I don't even want the assert here. I just want this to compile. Right? We could. Computing. General purpose language. Odin is a general purpose language, distinct typing built for high performance modern system. So I think that like one of the questions is: are we just talking about is being a competitor to Rust just being a compiled performance systems language? And I think that's not. I think that's not enough, because I think there's more happening. So yeah, we could add that assertion. Boom. UMAD empty addition rate is none. So why do you have a star here? Oh, and this is, we're doing with empty. Yeah, okay. Addition. Well, you know, if it's me, there's bound to be a long prefix, suffix, whatever. Oh, we got an unused import because we don't use Mutator anywhere. And I think that there are what? Assert is none. Oh, this is with empty addition. I've got these are turned around. No, you're not stupid. So this is, we could either do is some, or we could actually an empty addition rate. We could actually get the specific value back, but so I think there's a different question about, are we talking about alternatives to C and C++, or are we talking about competitors to Rust? And I think those are not the same thing. So I think Zig, for example, is a alternative to using C. Oh, well, I say I am stupid all the time. And my colleague KK is always fussing at me. It's like, you're not stupid. Okay. So I'm just channeling her. So I totally get the I am stupid comment. It's a thing I make all the time. So I think you could say Zig is an alternative to C, but that doesn't mean Zig is a competitor to Rust necessarily. Rust is also an alternative to C, but it doesn't make them competitors in a direct sense. And if you wanted to make some more lightweight changes to a C code base to improve certain kinds of memory safety, Zig might be easier. But if you wanted to have a longer term plan to really rethink your project, Rust probably makes more sense. That's a thought. Okay, so yeah, exactly. So, and I think Rust is actually a really good choice for, you know, web backends. I think that it would be absolutely the kind of thing I would be thinking of using. Okay, so that gives us, oh, I guess we don't say anything about this. Would help to have some actual documentation, wouldn't it? So construct UMAD with a given empty addition rate. Yes. Oh, actually, we said almost exactly the same thing. And do we document this up here, in which case I don't need to babble on about it? Yeah, we do. We totally do that up here. So repeating all that down here doesn't make sense. That is, so it panics if addition, oh, so actually this panics if any of these are illegal. In fact, this one, oh no, because this is the, so this panics if any, oh, we don't actually check that. Oh, where am I? So this assertion, we really ought to have that assertion or similar here. Oops, I commented, I plugged into the wrong place. I want it here. And I really want that 3 times. Yes. So I want the addition rate, the empty addition rate, and empty addition rate, and empty addition rate, and deletion rate here. Oh, undo. Here, and here, and here. Whoa, hello. Cannot call non-const. Oh, this can't be const anymore. Yeah. Actually, and shouldn't these news also be must use? Like, why would you call a constructor and not use the thing that you get back? That doesn't make sense. Boop. And boop. And boop, boop, boop. And that's private, so although it probably also ought to be must use, there's no point in calling it if you don't do something with it. Indeed. Oh, make UMAD must use. I see what you're saying. So can we do that? Does this happen up at the whole structure thing? Oh. Oh. Now then, do I no longer... but it's already been marked as must use. Oh, interesting. So here's a case where actually if we go here, we might get... this has a must use with no message, but returns a type already marked as must use. Either add some descriptive message or remove the attribute. Ah, nice. So if we put it on the thing, then we don't need to keep saying it here. That's nice. Oops, I didn't delete. Hello. Delete. And delete. Nice. That's an improvement. Okay, so construct a UMAD with a given empty addition rate, panics, and now we do check. So I want to, if the addition rate, let's change, get rid of the addition rate, empty, oh wow, empty addition rate or deletion rate isn't a legal probability value. And we could say if any of, just to be super explicit, I don't know why I got rid of the. If any of the addition rate, empty addition rate, or deletion rate, isn't a legal probability value. Okay. Cool. And then if we actually check over here, Bacon's happy on both fronts. Let's grab all this and plop it here without an empty addition rate. And then that won't be there. So we don't have that anymore. That's this. That goes away. And this should be is none. The message in the assert here. Oh yeah, you're right. So that should be a non-empty addition rate. Hang on. With empty addition rate. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is new with empty addition rate. Okay. Okay. So maybe a non-none. Yeah, okay. So switch to assert eq. This is making sense. Be explicit about what we're getting. So we're getting this and some empty addition rate. And then we can say expected the given empty addition rate since we used blah, blah, blah. So expected the given empty addition rate since we used the new with empty addition rate constructor. Okay, that looks better. And then this, okay, we're going to need to steal these asserts. Oh, come here. Or at least two of the three asserts. So, because we're going to want to say panics. So this one does not have a empty addition rate, so we don't have a check there. And that makes this const go away. Okay. So new without is the right thing. And we were saying this is none. This is the wrong function. Ah! So is that what you meant by the error message being wrong? Okay. Cool. Okay. Does that get us through all this finally? We are computing, and we're still computing. Go. Having this say pass up here when we're not done is a little weird. Hopefully, hey! I mean, it does give us this big red line when it's doing stuff, but still. And that's happy coolio. Let's commit. What time is it? Oh, 11:36. And we didn't even get to the animation. I wanted to move the animation in. Well, one day. Okay, so this adds... Oh, this, let's actually make that a thing. Make UMAD or add must use to UMAD. Since there's no point in constructing an instance of UMAD without doing anything with it, we marked it as must use. This allowed us to not have to mark all the constructors separately. Da 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 boom, ba-dum, boom, boom. And then the rest of this is just documentation. Oh, we did add the assertions, so I'll have to mention that. Add docs and assertions to UMAD constructors. This finishes. Oh, actually, I bet it doesn't. I bet. Oh no, I did change this. I thought maybe I hadn't changed that one, but I did change it. Go me. RustDocs to all the UMAD constructors, including simple examples. We also added range checks to all the probability arguments. Boom. And I think that's all the fun and excitement. And let's push. And I don't need to be there. I need to be here. And we're checking stuff. Let's actually mark this as ready for review, because I think we are ready for review here. And it spins and it spins and it spins and it spins. Oh yeah, since we have that open, that's a good idea. Well, I should have done that before I did the push, actually, but so we didn't change any of this. We've got this example. And, oh, we don't have an example here. How did we manage to not? Oh, because we have the example up here. What program do I use for Git GUI? So I'm using Git Kraken, partly just because that's what we've been in the habit of using. So I'm a university faculty and actually a university faculty in the process of retiring. And we've been using Git Kraken in our labs for a number of years. And so it's just I've been using it because that's what I use with the students. And so that's what I've been using. I do not claim to have looked carefully at the space of options. But I have found Git Kraken to be useful. One of the things that has changed a lot, when we first started using VS Code, the Git integration in VS Code was pretty weak, and there were a lot of things that didn't do well. It's gotten a lot better, and I think you can do probably most of what you can do in Git Kraken, you can just do in VS Code if you're using VS Code. And it's more sort of a habit thing that I keep coming back here. I think it, but each to their own. So yeah, we probably should add that example. I think you're right that this would be. It's a little weird to not have an example there, and we need the panics and we need the checks. Okay, so I need the panics and the checks. So I need this to go here. And we need addition rate and deletion rate if either or the deletion rate is an illegal probability value. We need to add those checks. Don't we have one that's just got the addition rate? Yeah, right here. Da 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 ba 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 boo. Da 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 ba 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 bum bum bum. And whoa! Oh, and then that blows up the const again. And then we got to fix the example. So I haven't used IntelliJ in a long time, like probably a decade. So I'm not super knowledgeable on that one. And yeah, I think, but I do like Git Kraken and I keep using it. So this panics at either the addition rate or the deletion rate of UMAD with, yeah, I agree with that. The empty addition rate set to be the same as, it's like I somehow just decided to use almost no words in that sentence. And you might, I mean, it's tricky, right? Maybe @bitpixel is using IntelliJ because there are external constraints that mean that's what you're using. I don't know. I've been very happy with VS Code, but you know, th- your mileage may vary, and there are other opinions to be had. Um, okay, so then we just want new here, and we want a deletion rate. Let deletion rate be 0.2, and deletion rate, and what are we asserting? Are we asserting anything here? Not really. Oh, I guess we would assert that the empty addition rate is the same as the assert eq the UMAD empty addition rate is the same as addition rate, and expected the empty addition rate UMAD.empty addition rate to be the same as the addition rate. Can't spell. And then this should be just addition rate. Catching up. Yeah, it probably would have made more sense to copy the other example. I grant you that. Need to wrap one in sum. Oh, you're right. Yes. So the empty addition rate is going to need to be the sum addition rate. Can't have function calls in format strings. Well, that's going to be a nuisance. Boom, bop, boodly boops. And that's, I think that's a totally reasonable thing, right? If it's what you're used to and it works for you, use it. I think that's, having religious wars over editors, generally unhelpful. If it's working for you, go for it. Okay, so we're going to say that the UMAD empty addition rate is going to be sum wrapping addition rate. And we expected the empty addition rate to be the same as the addition rate. Should I unwrap here? No, because that might actually lead to an error, I guess, in some cases. So I could say sum again here. Now, is that passing? Oh, they love bad things. Option F64 cannot be formatted with the default format. Oh, I've got to use colon curly brace here and here. Weird. Yeah, you're right. That string probably isn't adding anything, is it? So, should I just get rid of this? Do we think? expected the new constructor to set the default empty addition rate to be the same as the given addition rate. And skip all the formatting stuff. And what are we looking like here? We are computing. Okay. So now I think things are a little better on that front. Actually, we should look at the documentation, since that had been the whole point, that we should have looked at this before we pushed the first time. Construct an interest of UMAD with empty addition rate set to be the same as the addition rate. Panics if either blah 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 is an illegal probability. Example. Da 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 da. New with balanced deletion. If the deletion rate is set to so Minecraft uses Gradle to do the building, I assume. I mean, NeoVim is Justus will know more than me, but NeoVim I think is super expandable. Like there is a huge ecosystem of plugins or whatever extensions. Well, I don't know what they call it in that space. And I will bet money that there is support for something like Gradle. The question is like, what does that look like? How easy is it for you coming from something like IntelliJ to get there? I think, if you're not excited about the whole NeoVim thing, I've had good luck with VS Code. But, if your community mostly uses IntelliJ and you're getting, they're going to be able to help you more if you keep using IntelliJ, then, there is an argument there. And I've got a lot of RAM on this box, so I'm not the best judge. I suspect it is much more of a memory pig than using something like NeoVim directly, but I don't know that I really like this language. I'll come back there. Okay, so I think I want to revisit before we commit. I wanted to look at the default one because I don't feel like I got that language. Because this starts with the if without you knowing why you're doing that. I think this should be the first sentence. And computes a balanced deletion rate that ensures that on average child genomes will have the same length as their parent genomes. This is accomplished by setting the deletion rate to be, or 2, I think that'll, Whoa! Backticks are unbalanced. What did I do wrong? Oh, did it not like breaking the line? Oh, ah! Go away. Go away. No. Yes. Okay, it didn't like breaking the line. And summer vacation is a good time to try stuff, right? And, you're not out anything if you play with it for a while, and if it works, you keep going, and if it doesn't work. But I think I would echo Eustace's comment about, give it a while. It's going to be a big difference. And if you really want to sort of see how it goes, I think you need to give it a week or three to feel like you're beginning to understand the keyboard shortcuts and stuff. Otherwise, the beginning, it's going to just feel like you're on Mars. So you're going to have to give it some space. I have never done Kickstart and Vim. What does that do? Interesting. So it's just a nice place to start that's not so overwhelming. And of course, it uses the Rust replacements for grep and find, which is why Eustace likes it. So that's cool. Okay. So I think that's going to be better. We should be able to then look at this and construct UMAD with balanced deletion rate derived from. Again, I somehow decided to lose all my articles. With a balanced deletion rate derived from the addition rate to this constructor just takes an addition rate and computes a balanced deletion rate that ensures that on average child genomes have the same length as their parent genomes. This is accomplished by setting the deletion rate to addition rate divided by 1 plus addition rate. Panics if the addition rate isn't a legal probability value. Yay, team. Okay, so the rest of that I think looks pretty reasonable. Push our changes. Oh, I guess I really should be a good boy and look. Yes, everything seems good there. So this spiffies that up. And this just tries to improve that constructor. Okay, so this hunk, stage that. So this adds documentation and example for UMAD new. I don't think there's anything exciting to say there. Boom. For more information on this, see the balance section on the documentation of UMAD directly. Because we do say, yeah. Okay, that's a good point. For more information, see what is my syntax for pointing back up at a section here? I guess maybe I could look at this and see what the link looks like. UMAD hash behavior. Is it going to work? Yeah, UMAD. So just behavior. So UMAD. I'm not convinced that's quite right. Yeah, that wasn't right. And it's interesting that here it just says UMAD, which isn't great. Oh. See the balance section in the main UMAD docs. Nope. Oh, I got the braces wrong. It'd be square braces in the front and round braces in the back. Da 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 da. Square open. There we go. Except the link's wrong. I wonder if does that work? No. RustDoc link to section. Copy URL. But I don't want to link to something. Valid links. This isn't getting me. Oh, I maybe need to. So where? Bottom of valid links. I just scrolled past it. Oh. So here, okay, so they're using a named link, and then they're linking to std.funct hash. So it does seem, do I have to provide full, is the problem that I need to say the whole path here? Mutator dot UMAD dot oh, this was right, but this didn't work. I wonder if the capital is the problem. I wonder if the link, do they lowercase these? Yes, they do. It's little b. I think. Oh, and I bet UMAD is probably a lowercase as well. Maybe? No, UMAD's uppercase. Okay. Try that. Hey, it was a case. Oh, my screen froze? Oh, it did. Sorry about that. Let me restart capture. Okay. So, yep, I think we're good now. So, yeah, the problem turned out to be that I had an uppercase B right here. And because my behavior section was labeled with an uppercase B, and oh yeah, we want to link to balance. You're completely right about that. But even though this is an uppercase B, the link, which is pretty tiny, but is a lowercase b, and I had an uppercase B, and so that's why that didn't work. Balance. But that is the right thing. Balance is the right thing to link to. Voila! Okay. Now, does that mean I could... I think I like having the text in, but can I get rid... Can I just say UMAD balance? What does that do? Wanna, da la la. So it works, it's just not helpful because the label's like wrong. Oops, I don't want to close that. That would be bad. So I think what we have is better. Da, 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 bum, ba. And that link works and life is happy. Well, that's nice. I like that. I like that. That is a good change. Okay. We need to wrap this puppy up because it's now after 12 and I've got stuff I got to do today. So let's commit this and see if we merge this thing in. And we'll do animations next time because apparently animations, everything takes longer than you thought. It's easy to do. It's easy to do bad work fast. It is not a trivial thing to do work you like quickly. Yeah, I'm always like, we'll do this and that'll take like an hour and then we'll do this other thing and then the first thing takes 4 hours and we never get to the second thing. And yeah, that is 100% true. So improve the documentation of UMAD new. And I don't know, is there anything very exciting to say about that? Probably not. It was mostly just rewording things. Boom, and boom, and now back here. Yes. Now, hopefully this will actually not complain, and we will be happy campers. And then, yeah, use this in your free time, especially since we didn't get to it. You know, we only are just finishing it up at 12:09. In your free time, if you have a chance to approve it, if you to review it, is what I should say. If you have a chance to review it, because you might see things that we missed in the heat of battle, we can hopefully get this merged. And next week, we will do, I know, time zones. It's 12:09 where I live. It's 6:09 where Izitsu lives. It's 7:09 where you live. I have no idea where everybody else lives. I think it's 10:10 where C Films lives. so Etapixel is out in far east of here as well. So, Etbitpixel. I don't know how you pronounce that. It's always interesting to figure out how to like say out loud people's handles. 80-bit. 80-bit pixel. Interesting. Very cool. Well, thank you. Next week, Saturday, that would be 28 June. Woo, spelling. 2 to 4 p.m. CDT UTC -5. More on making the time zone wars. Cool. That's neat. I wish you well in your digital device and systems course. More on making animations for evolutionary computation concepts. And then Sunday, 29 June, 10 to noon, CDT, UTC -5. More work on the Unhindered EC readmes. Include animations. Boom. And then the following weekend, no streams. The following weekend, which would be, I think, 5 and 6 June or July, because 4th of July weekend, we'll be doing family reunion stuff in Wisconsin. Well, we don't need to try to, get people that out themselves as to where they live. That's up to them. So I'll miss that weekend. The following weekend should be fine. I think it'll be normal after that. I think that's the only hiccup, because Gecko, I think, runs Monday to Friday or something like that. Gecko 2025. Because I will be attending Gecko online. And that is calendar. Come on, go calendar. 14 to 18 is Monday through Friday. So I think I'll stream the weekends on either side of that. I may be a little fuzzy, especially on the weekend after that, because that I will be up in the middle of the night attending talks. That's too bad that it sits in your exam season. Well, hopefully we'll have a chance to meet up at a Gecko. That would be fun. That would be a neat thing to do, but not this time. And if for some reason anybody's interested, if you attend remotely, it's very cheap. I think it's like $100 or something to register. If you go in person, then it gets quite expensive. But there are student discounts and stuff, but it's pretty pricey if you go in person. But if you attend online, it's actually quite inexpensive. In my case, a lot of it will be sort of late at night. And so I'm going to be sort of on some weird, time zone shifting that week. So the second weekend I might be a little fuzzy, but we'll cope. Okay, so that was awesome. Thank you all very much. It was a pleasure chatting with the new people. Thanks a lot to the other old people. Of course, the people that usually come, I don't know. Language is hard. I will see everybody next week. Goodbye!